Olá, meus amigos, tudo bem? Assunto que para quase todos nós é muito comum, uma pescaria direto do barranco, pescar desembarcado. E dessa vez eu convidei na nossa série de entrevistas uma figura que já é muito conhecida lá no país dele, nos Estados Unidos, e que vem crescendo bastante no YouTube com vídeos super informais, super descontraídos, com uma câmera no peito. Ele filma, às vezes, poucos minutos de pesca num dia que ele pôde sair para pescar. Deixo que ele se apresente para vocês então, Dibble.
What's happening, fishing friends? My name is Devin from Devo's Fishing. I'm honored to be on. Happy to try and share some tips for all of you to help with bank fishing. I understand it's summer there right now, so it's winter here, and believe it or not, our lakes and ponds are going to freeze over. So
Divo, thank you so much for being here with us. As I mentioned to you, we are still a small channel here in southern Brazil, but we have some very aficionados on the black bass fishing, and not only on black bass, a lot of guys that fish different species. They are also following us here to learn. And because they can adapt a lot of techniques that we talk about it. As I already explained to the guys at the start of this video, your main focus is bank fishing. A majority of your videos is bank fishing, and I want to, if possible, to explore a little bit more on that, because we here also are the majority of us here are we are bank fishermen. So I wanted to take this opportunity to talk with you and to present to the guys what you've been doing, and of course we will stay days here talking about everything that you've done, but specifics, let's talk about summer a little bit, and when how do you operate, and what kind of basic material you take to the pond. You actually, first of all, you do fish mainly in ponds, don't you?
I fish everything. So where I'm at here, I'm actually in Iowa. So I'm lucky enough to have a bunch of different places to fish. I've got ponds, I've got small lakes that are only, 50 acres up to 1,000-acre reservoirs. And then we've got the Mississippi River, which is the biggest river we've got coming through here. So I've actually got access to a lot of stuff, unlike some other people that may only have, a couple urban ponds inside a big city. Then it's an hour and a half drive to a big lake or river or something. So I fish everything. We've got a bunch of different types to fish.
Hmm. And that's the thing, bank fisherman. I mean, you got a lot of things close by your house. Not at this time because it's getting to winter and everything's getting froze right now for you. So as I was telling you, the guys here usually you're gonna have one rod, or So really, I would gladly ask you so many things, but let's go. Stick with the basics. What can you share with the guys here? Out of if you were in that situation, I know that it's hard for you, but maybe you can help us out as to the
No, that's
basics. And as I mentioned to you, we have a lot of finesse here. So.
perfect. And that's actually how I started too. About 7-ish years ago, I got back into fishing heavy. And really back then, I only had a few combos. And probably the number one combo, if you're just starting out getting into pond fishing, in my opinion, is going to be a spinning setup, a 7-foot medium power spinning rod with it really depends on what you like, a 2,000 or a 3,000 size spinning reel. And that's really going to cover most everything, especially if you're not getting into the really heavy baits. Like you were saying, finesse fishing is really big there, smaller ponds. My go-to setup back then when I was, just starting with going with one spinning rod would be that rod and reel, 10 or 15 pound braid to usually like an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader.
Mhm.
And that's going to do most of the stuff. And you can even throw, smaller spinner baits. smaller swim jigs or smaller paddle tails, they're only just like 2 inches. You could throw your Ned rigs, Nico rigs, little small finesse jigs. I just did a video on that. I was throwing a 3/32 ounce micro jig and I caught a 5-pound bass on it, So yeah, I think a lot of newer folks think that, well, if I'm just using this little lure, I'm only going to catch small fish. You
That's
can
true.
catch all kinds of stuff.
That's true. And on that, and I think that's something important to explain to guys. Um, the way that you guys usually talk about your rods, you usually focus on the power, and a medium heavy or a heavy, or power in action. But we here, and oddly enough, the majority of us here, we usually talk about it in pounds, and then we talk about action and power, but we also talk about pounds. So I would imagine from what you said, that the line usually goes with the rod. So you're talking 15 pounds. So I would search a rod that goes 15, 17 pounds up to 20 pounds, probably, to not be that heavy. But what do you think about that? I don't know if you had something on that.
That's an interesting comparison. I actually talked to somebody about that they said, because one question that I get from a lot of new people is, this rod, for example, is rated 4 pounds to 10 pounds. A lot of time that rating is in monofilament though.
Exactly.
So when I'm using a braid, it's going to be like let's say I use a 10-pound braid, that might be like 4 to 6 pound monofilament equivalent as far as how big the line is.
Mm-hmm.
But really that line rating is on there as kind of a general suggestion to say, if you're using this size of line, and then do yours also have like the lure rating too?
Yes. Yeah.
Like a certain, I don't know, gram or however.
Yeah, we have it's in ounces also. It's the majority it's everything. It's in ounces and feet. So we are pretty used to that in pounds. So
okay, yep. So it's really going to give you that general guideline that if you're using line between this weight with lures between this weight, the rod's going to perform the best for you. Now, that doesn't mean you couldn't go a little heavier. So if I have like a light rod that's only rated up to 10-pound line, I can still put 15-pound braid on there and be okay, even 20-pound braid. But I just have to remember that if I'm putting real big line on it, let's say 50-pound braid with a half-ounce lure, it's going to be way too heavy, and I'm not going to be able to manipulate it. So.
Yeah, and then actually the structure of the rod might be in danger somehow, because that rod might even break, because of the line, the strong line. Of course, if you get a bigger fish, we're not talking not a bass here, as I mentioned to you. Our bass is we do have some nice sized bass, but nothing similar to US. But yeah, they show up every now and then. And we are lucky to get some. Good size for here is a 2-pounder, 2 to 3 pounder. These are good size, and these are not, hard to find. I mean, they know how to hide, but you can get them. But Thibaut, so okay, so I got that spinning combo, and let's talk about lures, man. What will you be throwing that? You mentioned you can throw everything on that, but let's say I'm starting, and I already did some videos on that, but it's always nice to hear some more experience, or different opinions if possible.
Sure. Yeah, it's going to be different for everyone. Depending on where you're at, what type of water you have, the clarity, what kind of structure you have. Some ponds might have a lot of rock, and you just can't really fish some lures, whereas some ponds might have a ton of grass and vegetation where you can't fish like a lure with treble hooks because you're getting hung up all the time.
Yeah.
So it's going to depend. Some places are really clear, some places are really muddy, dirty. So that's going to kind of dictate what you throw. But for the most part, for me, starting out, a weightless Senko or a fluke, like just a regular 5-inch Senko or fluke, half-pound bass will eat that all the way up to 10-pound bass. They're one of the best lures to start out. You can't really fish them wrong. You throw it out, pop it up a few times, let it fall, and it's really that action of you not doing anything to it is what entices those bass. So a stick bait or a fluke, I would say, is definitely number one. Doesn't require a lot of terminal tackle. You just need a hook and a soft plastic. Now, for me growing up, a spinnerbait was one of my confidence lures. If you're fishing real small ponds and such, you just want to downsize. So they'll sell, I forget what they call them here, but it's like a pond. They call it like a pond spinnerbait, which is just a downsized, smaller version Or I'm sure you're familiar with like inline spinners. You know,
Oh
a lot
yeah,
of
yeah,
guys fish with trout. Yeah,
yeah.
those are great. Those are a great option as well. Um, Around here, like the Ned rig or a shaky head has really grown in popularity, especially now with the number of different options. You can get Ned rig heads that the actual jig head where you can rig it weedless. So it's really
Mhm.
kind of like a shaky head, but those are great because you can throw them out. You can just, lightly hop them along. They don't get hung up real easy. So that would be another one. And then probably a Texas rig or a jig, depending on where you're at. But again, the Texas rig is great for a beginner because if you get it around wood or brush, grass, you can bring it through there and it's weedless. So a little
Yeah.
finesse Texas rig with like a 1/16 ounce bullet weight and a little, 2 or 3 inch little lure on there, a little worm or craw would do really
Mhm.
good.
Hmm. Yeah, oddly enough, my first bass, the first bass that I caught in my life, it was with a jig. Actually, with a heavy jig. Actually, it was really a heavy one. I was just trying because and actually I got that until today. Of course, I didn't dispose that. I'm not using that because it's so heavy. But it was a all white jig, with no trailer on it. It was just a jig. And I was throwing, but I didn't know then. I was throwing right there. I was throwing in the channel with rocks. So I mean, it was a
Yeah.
sweet spot. I was with a big friend of mine, and he told me to throw there. Throw it there, leave the line. It doesn't, do not leave the line tense. There's no tension in the line. Just leave it there and do some hopping and leave it. And man,
Yep.
5 minutes on, I was already with the fish on the line. So it was love of at the first fish. The
I
bass
bet.
is
Yep.
just amazing, man. And he was crazy because he said that he never got a bass at that pond with a jig. He said I didn't knew that worked. He was fishing with a Senko. And he said,
Uh-huh.
"Oh my God, you got with a jig." And I was fishing with a 30-pound braid line. With a heavy. I mean, it was really heavy material because I was used to fish. Um, uh, um, wolffish and a
Hmm.
stronger fish with teeth on it. I mean, it was really strong. So it is a really strong fish, and it can rip up the line if it's a thinner line. So uh, that's something also that the guys here, and that's important, I think, Debo, to remember that some of the guys will not go fishing only for bass, and this is what you're saying is mainly for bass. They don't have. I mean,
Yes. Yep.
there is no way that they can cut the line like a stronger fish. So yeah, I'll make sure to remember that to the guys. And actually, I'm doing it right now. If you fish wolffish, I'll talk in English and I'll translate to traíra. That's how we call it. So these guys have to go to stronger lines because it's a different fish. But
Yep.
we're talking bass, and that's what we love and what you do. I mean, that's your native fish, man. You know that in Brazil it's not a native fish, and so there is not a regulation to protect it. And we didn't spoke about that, but it's something for you to imagine. So it's really hard. That's why we would only find bass in private lakes, private ponds, and and in very specific reservoirs where they were put there like 30, 40 years ago, and there are
Mhm.
some remaining fish over there and some big guys over actually because of the reservoir and because it's a bigger lake. But it's legal to kill them here. It's legal. Actually, in some lakes they're actually asking the guys to kill them all. It's so sad. I mean, to go there
Wow.
with nets and take that off because they are killing the native species. And
Yep.
it's tough, man. But it is what it is. We 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 are always trying to protect the species, and actually it's growing, which is a good thing. It's getting easier to find lakes with black bass on it, and as I mentioned to you, majority it's private. Majority it's private. And in order for you to get to a black bass here, you gotta either know the owner or of course be associated with one of the associations we have here, as I mentioned to you earlier. But we have different associations, and that's where you pay a year fee, and you can get in and out as many time as you want to fish black bass.
Mhm.
So Debo, summer. I mean, what would you go? I mean, okay, now we are talking with a guy that is already a little bit more experienced, but you will work also for a guy that is starting. But what are we looking in the summer as far as from what you know as far as fish behavior and what will you throw.
Yep. So like, what are your air temperatures and what are your water temperatures
There you go.
there now?
Yeah, right now that's the other thing. Our water here stays pretty much stable year round. It varies. Right now it's probably uh, around the 68, 60,
Oh, okay.
68. So it's nice. It's not that cold and it's not warm enough, but it's really good. So the fish are active right now. They are active.
That's perfect.
Oh yeah, these are important information for you. Clear water, the majority of the lakes. There are some lakes that will be murky, but clear water, mushy and murky uh, bottoms. We don't have much structure on the bottoms. There are some um, um, non-native structure, that man-made structures in some lakes that we actually do that, and so we throw a lot of things there, or a tree or something that is there, so we know that. But it's we don't have it in lakes here, as I mentioned to you. I mean, in rivers, we don't have that. Is not that I know, not to my knowledge. So, and reservoirs,
Okay.
you're gonna find rocks on it. But I would say, imagine that you do have grass, you do have murky, mud on the bottom most of the time, and it's clear water. I will paint
Okay.
that scenario for you. It's
Okay.
probably
Perfect.
easier.
And do you have spots where you get that like kind of algae, the scum on top that
Yeah.
that hides the water?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So for me in the summer, when the water temps are coming up in the 60s like that, that's kind of like early spring coming up into the summer for us. So 68, the bass have probably, and it's going to be different there, but the bass would have already spawned.
Yeah.
So they would have already probably gone through that cycle or getting toward the end of it when we're going into early summer. And it doesn't all happen at once too. So just because spawning starts doesn't mean that every bass comes in and spawns and then leaves. They all kind of filter through. So you'll have the early ones that come in, and you've got the late ones all the way into the early summer that are just coming into spawn. But the great part is, like you said, is that water temperature, the bass are going to be very active. And then as that water temperature continues to climb, I don't know how hot it gets there for you, but up into the 70s, all the way up to the high 80s, and even
Yeah.
90, here
Yeah.
in some places. Um, as summer continues to go on, those bass, a lot of them, a majority, depending on the spot, are going to move out into the deeper waters and the deeper holes. That's on the big rivers, lakes, that kind of stuff. But in the ponds, it might be a little bit different. Around here, a lot of the ponds may only be 8 foot deep,
Mhm.
at the deepest. So the big thing for beginners to remember is bass hate sunlight, right? There's two things that are going to drive bass really: the water temperature, depending on the time of day, and food. So as that water temperature moves, it's going to take them through different habits. But really, the time of day is going to dictate where they're going to be at. But it's really going to be around food, right? I mean, that's
Mhm.
that's what they want to do. If they're not spawning, they're eating, right? So in the summer, you've got to think, where is that bass going to be out of the sun and looking for food? So for me here, like early in the morning, as that sun's coming up, and then late in the evening are going to be the two prime times. Because that sun's not bright overhead, and bass are just like us, they're going to feed in windows. It's not like they're just gorging and eating all day. Just like us, you might eat for an hour and then not eating until the late afternoon or whatever. So the bass are going to be the same way. So don't get discouraged if you go out at noon and can't catch anything. They might just not be biting then. So early morning, late afternoon, and look for spots to hide. So if you've got grass lines, you can see spots where the grass starts and then stops. Any little holes like that are going to be great to target. Or that's why I was asking you if you had stuff on top, algae. As that water temperature rises, the bass's metabolism is going to go up. They have to eat more to keep on weight. So they're going to be more aggressive. They're cold-blooded. So as they warm up, they can be more active. And they're going to be more apt to hit topwater lures. So those little canopies or those things that are going to create cover over those bass are great to target with, like a frog, if you have any of those
Mhm.
weedless frogs,
Oh yeah.
or like a popper, just a little, small popping lure where you can just bring it up next to wood or like along that line and just pop it real
Mhm.
slow. That's another great technique in the summer And then as it continues to go on through the summer, it continues to get hotter, slowing down in those spots. So throwing your Senko, throwing your Texas rig in those spots, anywhere that's going to create, cover and shade are really where you're going to want to focus.
Mm-hmm. Oh, perfect, man. You were talking about frogs. I mean, frogs it's really probably on artificial lures is the biggest thing here in Brazil, especially in the south of Brazil.
Great,
especially in the south. Yeah,
it's only frogs for the rest of my life, I would do it.
Really, man. I mean, it's so I don't know. You haven't fished. I'm assuming, but if we got the opportunity to bring you down here, or if you stop by in Brazil anytime, but I'll tell you, wolffish will kill frogs. And the guys that fish wolffish here, the 90% of their equipment is frog. So it's always
awesome.
top water fight and attacks. And some of these fish actually came almost out of the water to catch it. So it's really amazing. And it's really aggressive.
Yeah, we were talking.
Yeah, you have the pike.
Here. I would love to fish snakehead because we have pike. It literally looks like somebody throws a big rock in the water and explodes when it hits the frog. So I would love fishing wolffish. Yeah, for sure.
We have a lot of local manufacturers that are doing frogs for quite a long time already. So frogs, plastic frogs, and it's already, weedless. It's something that the guys here know a lot. And
I didn't know that. Okay, yeah, that's a great lure.
Strong.
They're weedless. Yeah, so for beginners, you don't have to worry about getting it hung up. You can bring it through all that slop. Yeah, that's another great one to use then.
Yeah, we do have that a lot, and and all that goes with the top water fishing, which I love. But on that, I wanted to ask you just a quick question on that. When you're talking top water, what goes in your mind? I mean, does wind stop you to think that you can throw top water, or usually that's a no-brainer? I'll throw it anyway. What do you do with the wind? Because usually the water stays, it's all moving. So how do you see that happening? Is that something that affects your decision?
Wind helps, yeah. So it depends on the situation. When you've got a real slick calm, those days you go out, there's no wind, it's clear water, the sun's up above, there's no clouds. That's like the worst fishing conditions. It's usually going to be high barometric pressure, so the fish aren't as active or apt to feed. So in situations like that, you need something to almost hide or cover up the lure. So what I mean by that is if you've got real clear water and nothing moving, those fish can see exactly what it is. So if you're throwing an artificial lure, they're looking at it like, no, that thing's not real. But if you get wind or if you get cloud cover, all that's going to disturb what they see. So you have to imagine as a fish looking up, you've got a whole bunch of ripple on the water and you just see something flashing by, they're a lot more apt to eat it, to feed on it. So wind can be your friend, as same as cloud cover. It's going to, darken everything. It's harder to see. So they might just be seeing a silhouette and striking that out of aggression as opposed to just being hungry, It's almost like if I throw a ball at you, you just go like this to catch it. That's just kind of their instinct. They see something come by and they just hit it.
Interesting.
So for top water, wind is going to dictate how noisy or what type of top water I want to throw. So if I've got a top water frog and I'm just barely moving it, it doesn't make a lot of commotion, right? So I might go to something like a top water buzz bait, something that plops, makes a lot of noise, is really loud, because there's so much commotion on the water. Those bass need something to target in on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, buzzbait is also something that is coming in. In Brazil, it was not that common, but right now, in these past years, it's the guys are starting to understand what it is, a buzzbait. I haven't yet presented the buzzbait to my guys here, but I'll definitely do a video on it. It's very effective. I mean, I trust the buzzbait a lot.
How about like a whopper plopper? I think that was actually made to fish on the Amazon when they.
Oh my God! Yeah, no, I have that. Actually, I have all the sizes on the whopper plopper, and the guys here love that. Both for the wolffish and the bass. Whopper plopper is huge here. It's not that easy to. The regional is not that easy to find. The river to see whopper plopper, but as you can imagine, the Chinese. We got at least 10 brands that sell the same bait, with different names.
That's another great one. Yep, that's another good one.
It works. I mean, I also got the from Berkeley. the Chopo.
The
Oh yeah, the
Chapo?
Chopo. Yeah, I got that one too, and it's even louder actually than the Whopper Plopper from
It
Brand.
is. Yep.
It's louder, so I love that. And I have specifically for bass, I usually go for the small one. You know, the 7 or the 70 millimeters.
Yep. 70 or
Yeah.
75. Yep.
So yeah, 7.5. So I go for the small ones, but I have the big guys. You know, I got the, I think it's 11 or something. I mean, it's really for Amazon. It's a big guy, and
Yeah.
it does actually catches bass on all sizes, even the big ones. You saw that already, probably. You know, even the small guys, they don't know their size. I mean, they will go for, it's like a small dog, you know, like a pincher or something. They will fight with the big guys.
Yep.
You know, so it's really amazing. But yeah, so that's the thing. I ask you about the wind because, and probably myself too. I don't feel that confident of throwing a top water when there is too much wind. You know, when the situation. I mean, I can, of course, I usually try to position myself in a good way, not to throw against the wind with a lot of wind. But you can do that. You know, different techniques or whatever. But it gets harder. But so the wind does not. I mean, usually we fish with wind. So, but strong winds, and specifically where we live here, we are up in the mountains. So, when the wind catches, I mean, you're talking gusts of wind sometimes, and really strong winds. And even on that situation, you think I could throw a buzzbait and get out with that?
Absolutely. Yep.
Gotta
Yeah,
try
a
that.
buzzbait. Another thing is a spinnerbait. If you can find any spinnerbaits, because if something doesn't have any sort of motion with it, if it's coming through and there's all that wind, it's not going to have anything. So something with a lot of flash, like a spinnerbait rolled just under the surface, you know, a foot under the surface is going to be great then, because a lot of those fish, as it gets windier, the bait fish will tend to rise up and go with it. So anytime you can, like you were saying, you want to try to cast directly into the wind.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of counterintuitive. People don't like to do it. But you have to remember that wind's going to be blowing those bait in. They're going to naturally move with that wind. So any bait fish and anything are going to be coming with it, you know?
This is nice, man. Actually, this is very nice. I never thought like that, and it's logical to think like this. And yeah, actually, where the situation where we got a lot of wind coming, we know that even the bass goes that direction too. It comes to the banks because of the wind. Yep. And then, of course, man, I know that. Thank you, because actually we're always learning. But I'll tell you this. So okay, so when you go for so we're still in summer, but you can throw the basics, as you said. You know, maybe a spinner bait will be the easiest access to most of the guys, either a spinner or a frog. You know, spinner and frogs are the cheapest ones that we can get here. Actually, it's very inexpensive, and they will work great. When you go for stick baits, it's almost already an expensive lure for most of the guys. You know, believe me, it can get expensive, even for the Brazilian makers that we do have here. Some good Brazilian makers and good brands showing up and growing, but it is expensive, as you know. You know, so some lures can get very expensive. I mean, Yamamoto, I hate them and I love them because they don't last the fish sometimes. You know, you get one fish and one lure, one fish, one lure.
Yep.
So that really upsets me sometimes because you pay a lot of money for it. And there is a lot of some movements here also that you guys have that for quite a while. I'm talking that because there's a lot of guys doing their own baits at home, you know, and doing their own stick baits and doing their own. That started in Brazil with saltwater fishing, doing the shrimps, you know. So there is a huge market for shrimps. So snook fishing, you know, snook is big here in South Brazil, actually in the whole Brazil, but whole area. Snook fishing is just a fever, you know. It's, if not the biggest market, it's probably one of the biggest volumes of fishermen going for it, you know. But on bass, there are some guys working on lures. I got good friends actually. I'll try to work that on. I got a good friend of mine going back to US early January, and he does a lot of plugs, you know, of we call it plugs, but you know, wood not some top water. He does some lipless and some crankbaits. Actually, he does out of wood, and he does such a nice job, man. And I'll try to get you into one of these so we can look into that. It's just amazing. There are very small ones. There are 70s. They're small lures,
Yep.
but and very light, very very light. I would not know that in ounces, but it's like 5 grams. It's very very light, man. It's nothing. You have to go almost ultra light, to fish with those. But it works. I mean, you really catch them, and it goes. It's a sub. It doesn't go deeper than a foot. So it really goes. It's really interesting. It's really interesting. And
Cool.
anyway, I don't want to deviate and take the opportunity to be talking with you, man. I don't even know where are we with time. So I'm guessing we got already some good time talking. But again, Debo, what do you think about? Well, okay. You mentioned the spinning because probably it's easier for the guy that is starting, and as we all
Yep.
know, it's a common sense probably that spinning it's easier on the hand. But a guy that is looking to get into a bait caster, what kind of combo would you tell them to look for? I mean, a speed, and if there's something like this.
Yeah, there's so many out there, but if you're fishing mainly finesse stuff, smaller lures, I would say a medium light up to really a medium is all you would need. But like you said, you do the frog fishing quite a bit, so maybe even a medium heavy. It would really just depend on what you really have and what you want to focus on. You just want to remember the bigger the hooks and the bigger the bait, a little bit stiffer or heavier rod that you're going to need to accommodate that, right? Because if you've got real big hooks and you've got a real soft rod, you can't set those hooks into the fish's mouth. So something like a medium up to a medium heavy. 7 foot 2 is my favorite. So that's really going to depend on your size. I'm 6'1", 215 pounds. So to me, that's very comfortable for me to fish. If you're shorter, a 6'10" length, just depending on what you like. But as far as the reel goes, I think something in the high 6s or like a 7, so a 7-to-1. And that really just means for every one crank of the handle, it's going to move that spool inside. So for example, like this guy here, for every one crank of the handle, it's going to move this spool inside 7 times or 6.8 times. So when you're looking at a reel and you see it on there, this number here, this gear ratio, that's what it's referring to. How much line it's going to bring in for every turn of the handle. So
Right.
I think like a 7-to-1 or a 6-speed is great all around.
Yeah, and that's a good tip. And usually the guys will go for braid, right? I mean, try to stay away from, at least for a start, to stay away from a stiffer line like a floor, because of all the nest that you can get. I mean, it can get very nasty, and specifically for guys that are starting. I did some videos. I'm actually doing a video shortly, outside, explaining better a little how it works. How to set the best way. It doesn't save you from a nest, but it can help you out. Adjusting brakes and those kind of things. They are basic, but some of the guys they really don't know, and they buy the stuff or they get as a gift and they don't know what to do with, and it can get complicated, but it's also practice. As you well know, probably if you're still practicing, you're getting confidence on what you're throwing and everything. So I think that's it. I wanted to show you one thing that you mentioned. We were talking prior to starting recording. We were talking when we go out for fishing, we throw a lot of things and we get a lot of things that we don't use. But we have here a lot of tournaments for black bass tournaments. Usually on the associations, every association have like 3 or 4 a year, and so we've got a good number of tournaments, small tournaments, 30 to 40 fishermen, but it's fun. It's still fun, and we carry our rods on this. So yeah, I don't think you saw that already, but
no, that's cool.
That's probably, I don't know if that's Japanese or Brazilian engineering, but look at that, man.
Huh.
And so this is very inexpensive, as you probably know. I mean, this the rod, wall rod holders. I mean, in Brazil, oh my God, it's like $4 in dollars, $4 or $5, and of course plywood, cut it to the shape, so I can put 6 rods here, equip 6 rods, and carry
And
them.
then just carry it like a suitcase.
Yeah, just like a suitcase. And of course, it stands on. It stands, so it doesn't stay on the ground. And
That's awesome.
this is something amazing, man. And I never saw that in US. I never saw no one using it because usually you don't have much tournaments, bank tournaments, or you probably do have, but So instead of throwing your rods on your combos on the ground, which is we know it's not good, usually we carry those. So
Never seen anything like that. That's awesome.
yeah, man, it really works. I really like that, and I don't know if that's Brazilian or Japanese because we do have a lot of Japanese influence also because of the finesse, as you can imagine, and so a lot of techniques also, even the names of some techniques, I'm pretty sure they came from Japan instead of US, where we also takes a lot of, we filter a lot of things out of US. Just this, you were talking about the Ned rig. Actually, the Ned rig is American. Actually, I did all research of the history of Ned, the guy that actually invented or give the name to the technique. But is starting, Ned rig here in Brazil is starting. It doesn't have a year, so if so, so the guys here, of course, 1 or 2 guys like me, we know that for a little bit longer, but still, even in US, it's almost it came back. It's a technique that came back or it got stronger in the last years, as you already mentioned, that is new. And we also have some Tokyo rig coming in. The Tokyo rig is something that some guys working. I'm still practicing. I'm not confident enough on Tokyo rig, but I'm still trying to figure out that the whole structure. It looks busy, for me. I mean, it's really, but it still works. I know that works. There are some guys that win tournaments with that. So in US, so. I don't know. But anyway, man, I don't want to deviate too much, but I really want to thank you so much, Thibaut, for your time.
No problem.
We could be talking so much things. So we just, we could be talking here for hours about what we love to do. Again, if Thibaut, your channel has how many years now? 7 years?
No, my channel has only been, I started in 2017, I want to say, but I actually started doing videos.
Okay.
Yeah, and I wasn't really that big into it at first, maybe a video every couple weeks or something. So it really wasn't until really up into 2018 when I really started taking it seriously.
So I follow you from the start, man. I'm happy. I follow you because I've been following you for almost 3 years now, and so I'm, it's good. And so right now, today, you're doing 1 or 2 videos a week. What are you doing as far as?
I try to do no fewer than 3 videos a week. Yeah, sometimes it's only 2, but I try to get 3 as my goal for every week.
Okay,
that's hard.
Yeah, and that's guys. Just understand that I spoke with him prior, but I almost always try to figure out and then learn because there are so much thing behind the cameras and all the work that we do to editing and everything to put on live. It really takes time. I'm actually struggling to get 2 videos a week, but anyway, it goes. Hey, Thibaut, again. Got five basic questions that I do that I throw away every time for the guys here. First one is bait caster or spinning?
Bait caster. And I'm not one of those guys that doesn't fish spinning. I know there's a lot of guys around here that will kind of shy away from it, like, I don't need to do the finesse fishing. I'm power fishing. Right. I fish spinning reels. I always have them with me, but for me, I'm just a lot more accurate with a bait caster. It's more comfortable for me to fish all day and fight a fish with it. So for me, I prefer a bait caster, but both are great, and I think you need both. Once you start getting into it.
Yeah. Okay, so fluoro, braid, or nylon?
That's a tough question because it depends on what you're doing. With fluorocarbon, it sinks, so you can't fish top water. Starting out, a really soft monofilament is great because here it's not very expensive. I know you said braid
Yeah,
is really popular there. So
it is
braid is
expensive too.
actually, is it? Okay. Yeah, braid is a great do-it-all because you can fish topwater, you can fish anything with it, and like you were saying, it's really soft, so it's a little bit more forgiving, as opposed to like fluorocarbon or monofilament. They'll get that memory where it wants to what we call
Yeah,
a backlash or
yeah, the
burn.
backlash. Yes.
Yeah.
So okay, so your preference goes for fluor today, or what do you throw most?
For me
Fluor.
personally, yeah, I fish fluorocarbon the most,
Yeah.
unless I need something to do top water. I personally prefer monofilament on most all top water except frogs.
Okay.
65-pound braid for frogging. That's my
Straight,
go-to frog setup.
straight on
Yep.
the frog.
Straight braid. Yep.
Okay.
Straight
And
braid.
just a quick question. That's not one of my five questions, but as you were talking, and I think that's interesting. The reason I go for braid most of the time is trust. I'm afraid that the fluor will break easier than the fluor than the braid. Of course, considering there is no structure on it, we know that the braid is it doesn't help goes along with that. But
Yep.
I'm still working on that. That's a work in progress on my side. I'm getting used to fluor, a straight fluor. And the only good thing from my end is that I don't have a leader, so it's all on the same line. It's a good thing.
And that's a big part of fishing is there's not a right way to do it. So just because I do it that way,
Yeah.
you can ask 5 other guys and they're doing it completely separate. Like you were saying, it's what you have confidence in. A lot of times that's the biggest factor. You could give me some professional, Kevin Van Dam or one of these guys, something that they feel confident in, and I might grab it and be like, I don't like this at all. So it
Yeah.
really just depends on the person.
Yeah. Well, the third question is what kind of technique or a specific lure that you that you're most comfortable or that you throw the most?
Frog.
A frog?
If I could, I was telling you that before. If I could only fish one, I don't actually have any around here, but
I think
if I
you
can
got
fish-
a KVD frog back there. I don't know
Oh
if
yeah,
it's a
up
frog.
here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those
I
are
forgot about
frogs.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah, a frog like this. I understand
Yeah.
they're big down there.
Yeah.
You all have the wolffish. We have northern pike up here, which is another really toothy fish. They love this type of stuff, and for me, it doesn't get any more fun than throwing it out and walking it along, and something just blows up on it. This is my favorite. I could do that all year.
Oh, perfect then. Okay, so well, that's another question that I probably know the answer, but bank fishing, kayak fishing, or boat fishing out of a boat?
I've never fished out of a kayak. So I grew up fishing out of a boat. My dad had a boat. So I've grown up fishing out of a boat my whole life, and also doing pond fishing because he worked a lot. So I was able, to go to the local ponds or, local places. My friends, their, family had ponds and stuff we could go to. So for me, a lot of that was, doing that on my own that way, small ponds and stuff. And then bank fishing to me is just, you can get out, you just get a walk around in nature. It's so calming. You don't have to worry about packing the boat and backing it in, just setting up the boat and doing all that. You're looking at an hour of work. Whereas, for me, a lot of times it's just a time thing. I have a family, so I can get off work, go to the pond, fish for an hour and be back. I don't have to do anything. I can just pull up, shut my car off and go inside, With a boat, you can't do that. So for me, a lot of times it's just bank fishing simply because of time's sake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I imagine, and the same goes. Yeah, actually, I do have a kayak. I have been fishing in kayak more often, and it's a different animal, man. If you got the opportunity to do that, it grows on you. But it also has something of that, setting up that it takes time. And yeah, fishing out of a kayak, it's interesting too. You probably heard that, but it also involves
a boat.
Yeah, it also involves the space. It also involves you getting where to put that. Sometimes you don't have. My kayak, it's on. We have a room here. I live in an apartment, so we have a room here, a space here that goes for the bicycles. But I throw my kayak in there, and the guys sometimes complain, but they know me. I'm fine with everybody, so they don't they don't throw my kayak away, you know, but it's such a big kayak, you know. But anyway, okay, my last question to you, my friend, and I think we've been there already, but what will be your tip or suggestion? What can you say to someone that wants to get into fishing or is getting into fishing? What will be, what can you say to them?
The most important thing when you're starting out is time on the water. So don't worry about all the gear. Don't worry about getting a whole bunch of rods and lures. If you only have a couple lures and one rod, that's all you need. Get out and fish. Time on the water, experiencing those different conditions. You know, you get into different times where it's really windy, or you go to a place where it's really dirty, and you get scared of these places. You don't know what to do because you've never fished them before, right? So the more you can get out and the more different places you can go to, the better you're going to grow as an angler, and the more comfortable you're going to be in different situations. And when I mean get out and fish whenever you can, even if it's only an hour. You know, I have friends around here that say, well, I've only got an hour after work, I'm not even going to mess with it. Well, there's been times where I've gone out for an hour and caught 30 fish. You know, there's been times I've gone out for a whole day, 12 hours, and only caught one fish.
Yeah.
So time doesn't matter. It's just that you have to get out there and fish as much as you can, as many different places as you can. Just get out and fish.
Perfect, man. Thank you so much. Dibo, again, it's a pleasure to be talking with you. I'm not the only follower. I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only follower out of Brazil. I know a lot of guys that knows your work, that know what you're doing. I want to thank you so much for what you've been doing so far. I'm a follower. I'm always looking to and listening to what you're saying. We're always learning. And of course, I would invite you to stop by my channel as soon as my video with you come up. Of course, I'll let you know. But really, I'm pleased to have you here. It's a pleasure, man. And
pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much for having me on.
To be, as I mentioned to you, I got in a normal situation outside of COVID. I'm usually traveling a lot to US, so one of these days, who knows, I might stop in Iowa and getting to know you, and we might go back fishing, my friend. It'll be a pleasure.
Here, let me know. We'll go hit some ponds up.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much again, guys. Dibo, and I really appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you all so much.